The word grace is one of the most important words that we come across in the entire Bible, particularly in the New Testament. The Apostle Paul, in his letter to the Ephesians, tells us that grace is the mechanism by which God saves sinners. It's literally the means by which God reaches down from heaven and applies Christ's work to our lives. But what is grace exactly? Did you know that today, in the mainstream Christian church, there are 3 different views of what grace is? 3 different common views of what grace is. Today, I'm going to tell you what those 3 views are, and at the end of this video, I'm going to tell you which one I think is the right one. The first view of grace that we find common in the church today is called irresistible grace. And this view sees grace as just that, as an irresistible force. This is also known as the Reformed view of grace or the Calvinist view of grace. Some people might refer to it as the Augustinian view of grace. This view of grace is based on 2 other Reformed doctrines, the doctrine of total depravity and the doctrine of predestination or unconditional election. The logic of this view basically goes like this. Since those who are saved, the elect, were chosen by God from before the foundations of the world, they can't resist his grace. That's why grace is an irresistible force that God unleashes on a person who he has chosen to save. In this view of grace, grace is not applied to everyone in the world. It's only offered to those who are elect. The second form of grace that we commonly see in the church today is called free grace. Now, this view of grace doesn't see grace as an irresistible force, but rather as an irrevocable license. You see, in this view of grace, salvation, saving grace, is applied to anyone at the very moment that they confess Jesus as the Christ, irregardless of whether or not they actually make him their Lord and become his disciple. You see, in the New Testament, faith and works go hand in hand. Genuine faith bears genuine fruit. But in this view of grace, the fruit of a person's life has nothing to do with their salvation. It has nothing to do with whether or not they've actually put their faith in Jesus. Once they make the profession, once they say that Jesus is Lord, that's it. They're now free to do whatever they want and live whatever kind of lifestyle they want because grace has covered them. They know they're assured of going to heaven, irregardless of whether or not they actually follow Jesus by making him their Lord. The third view of grace that we see commonly in the church today sees grace as unearned favor from God. That is, favor that no individual merited or deserved, but that God gives freely as a result of Jesus' work on the cross. In this view of grace, grace is not an irresistible force or an irrevocable license. It's rather a lifeline that God throws to us. Think of it this way. This is the best way I can explain this view of grace. Imagine you're drowning in a rip current, getting pulled out to sea, and your friends see you, but they can't get to you because they would drown too. So instead, they throw you a rope. You grab hold of the rope and you get pulled into safety. In this view of grace, we are all drowning in trespasses and sins, and God throws us a rope. It's called the gospel. It's up to us whether or not we want to grab hold of that rope and be saved. But when we do, grace is the means by which God pulls us into the shore. Now, no analogy is perfect, but this is the best way I can explain this view of grace. Grace is unearned favor from God that he offers to everyone. And it's up to us whether we want to accept it and be saved or reject it and go on living the way we always have. All right, guys, I promised that at the end of this video, I would tell you which view of grace I think is the right one. Can you guess? Well, there's no doubt that I think that it's the third view of grace that is the most faithful to all of Scripture. Grace as unearned favor from God. Grace is the lifeline by which God offers us the gospel. It's not an irresistible force, and it's not an irrevocable license to do whatever we want. No, it's God's favor that he has shed abroad on every person, and it's up to every individual whether or not they want to accept it and cooperate with it or not. Well, you can tell me what you think down in the comments section below. Also, if you like this video, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to our YouTube channel. Your support means a ton to us. Also, guys, this week on the That You May Know Him podcast, we are releasing an episode on this very topic. What is grace really according to the Scriptures? That's episode 113 of the That You May Know Him podcast. Check us out on Spotify, Apple, Google Pods, or wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm Blake Barbera. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you next time on That You May Know Him.